Some breakouts sneak up on you, but not this one. Is it time for WWE to bow down to the ruler? Welcome to the Breakout. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Breakdown. My name is Brandon, and welcome to this episode of The Breakout. The Breakout is a weekly series where we talk about up-and-coming talent in the WWE and where they are headed. And today we are talking about the ruler, Oba Femi. And now on a series like this might seem like low-hanging fruit. It's obvious that Oba Femi is on a breakout run, and that's okay. Sometimes the obvious choice is the best choice. Yes, as wrestling fans, we like to be surprised. We like to dig for things. We like to figure stuff out that's a little bit more under the radar. But every now and again, the obvious choice is the right choice. And so is Oba Femi too obvious for the first episode of the Breakout? I don't think so. I think he is the perfect choice for this first episode. We could talk about Trick. We could talk about Javon. We could look at Evolve and NXT and who's coming up. But who is on the most meteoric breakout run in the WWE right now? That has got to be Oba Femi. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about him and where he is headed. First, let's look at the background. Where did this guy even come from? Because it seems like he came up out of nowhere. At only 27 years old, he is already on a rise that hasn't been seen in a long time. Well, going back a little ways, Oba Femi was a track and field athlete throughout high school, and he went to the University of Lagos before transferring here to the U.S. to go to Middle Tennessee State University. In 2019, he transferred to the University of Alabama, where he had a very successful track and field run, specifically in the shot put. And you can still see that in his offense as he likes to shot put his opponents across the ring. He went to Alabama from 2019 until 2022, won some pretty big awards, conference awards, things like that, and signed an NIL deal with the WWE at the end of 2021. Now, it wasn't until 2023 when he made his official NXT debut, and eventually he won the NXT Breakout tournament, which gave him a contract that he could cash in at any point for any championship. He chose to utilize that contract a week later to cash in on Dragon Lee, winning his first championship in NXT, the North American title. Now, he kept that for a while before dropping it to Tony D'Angelo, and he lost that match with heavy interference from the family. He failed to regain it in a tables, ladders, and scares match, but what he did accomplish in that time was he became the longest reigning North American champion up to that date. Now, that may have been surpassed by Ethan Page. I'm not 100% sure yet. Let me know in the comments below. He's on a great run with the North American title, but Oba's was obviously very dominant. From there, after moving on from the North American title, we saw him chase down and win the NXT Championship in a triple threat match where he won it over Trick Williams. He kept that for over 200 days before he finally dropped it to Ricky Saints. A few weeks later, he got his rematch, and he was able to defeat Ricky Saints and regain the NXT Championship, becoming one of few people on a very short list of multi-time NXT champions. Now, he would hold on to that championship long enough to get invited to wrestle against Cody Rhodes at Saturday Night's Main Event. And man, what a match that was. He was booked to look very strong in that match. He did not take a loss. That one ended in a no contest after interference from Drew McIntyre. But man, that match allowed him to rub shoulders with Cody Rhodes. It allowed him to rub shoulders with Drew McIntyre and look strong and dominant in the process. That right there was a signal that we've got to pay attention to. That right there is WWE telling us they've got big plans for this guy and they want to protect him. But the protection of his dominance didn't end there. He went on to defend the NXT Championship once again against Ricky Saints. Everyone thought that he was going to lose it. It made sense. He would get called up to the main roster, but he didn't. He successfully defended that title and then laid it down in the center of the ring and walked out. He vacated the title, letting the WWE Universe, all the fans, everyone know that he's done everything he needs to do in NXT. He's proven everything he has to prove in NXT, and it is time for him to move on. And we talked about where that title went in a different video that you can check out here if you want to take a look at that. Good things happening in NXT, but it was time for Oba to move on. And did he move on or what? We saw him next in the Royal Rumble after a series of vignettes that probably made a lot of us nervous because it seemed like he might be getting the Veer Mahan treatment where he's saying, oh, Oba Femi's coming, but he never shows up. That's not what happened. He showed up at the Royal Rumble. Not only did he show up, he entered at number 1. He eliminated Braun Breaker. He got 5 eliminations, I believe, in that match and looked dominant throughout. He finally got eliminated by Brock Lesnar, which I think is what's going to lead us to what's next for Oba Femi. We'll get to that in a moment, but he looked super dominant. After that, after the Royal Rumble, we've seen him pop up a couple times. However, he's still listed as a free agent on the WWE website. He has not signed to Raw or SmackDown. And the reason I believe for that is because, again, they want to continue to protect his dominant run. What would make sense for a normal person coming in? They'd sign to Raw or SmackDown. They'd end up in an Elimination Chamber qualifier. They would win it or lose it. Then they would go to the Elimination Chamber and they'd win or lose there, right? They don't want that for Oba Femi. They don't want him taking a loss, but they don't want him near the title picture just yet. I think they've got a plan for him. And what's going to happen, if I were to guess, is that we will see him continue to be a free agent. We might see him get pursued by the different general managers. Maybe Nick Aldis is going to try to sign him. Adam Pearce is going to offer him a deal. He's going to continue to wait it out and see what happens. I think that's going to continue past Elimination Chamber. Reason being, protecting him from needing to take a loss, protecting him from either losing a qualifier or losing in the chamber, because it is all but guaranteed that Cody Rhodes is somehow going to win the Elimination Chamber. We've been talking about Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre and potentially adding Jacob Fatu to that for the WrestleMania match for the WWE Championship. We've already got CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. So Oba needs to stay away from that so that he doesn't have to take a loss between now and WrestleMania. What I think will happen after this, as Oba Femi continues to flatten people, just like he did with the War Raiders last week on Monday Night Raw, like he did with Kit Wilson on SmackDown. He's going to continue to show up. He's going to continue to drop people until Brock Lesnar shows up. Brock has already been advertised for the Monday Night Raw, February 23rd. I think this is the moment where Oba Femi is going to come in and go face-to-face with Brock Lesnar again. And this is going to set up his storyline, his feud towards WrestleMania. I see Oba Femi feuding with Brock Lesnar for a while, and I don't know how that match is going to go at Mania. When this happens at Mania, here's what I think. If they book Oba to win, then I think it's a safe bet to say that Oba Femi could possibly win a world championship within his first year. If they book him to lose, even if it's a competitive match, then we're going to see this Brock Lesnar storyline extended out for a little while. But I don't want to see Oba Femi in a competitive match anytime soon. I want to see Oba Femi continue to dominate. I want to see Oba Femi continue to be presented as being unbeatable. I want to see Oba Femi do some crazy things. I want to see him have an opportunity at a mid-card championship and him just say, no, thank you. I want to see Oba Femi laser focused in on those top titles. The WWE, especially Raw and SmackDown in the men's division, needs top talent in the mix right now. They need top talent in the mix yesterday. There are so many superstars that are kind of on the way out. Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton, these guys are on the way out, right? They're getting to the end of their career. Even CM Punk getting to the end of his career. Roman Reigns is kind of part-time. Brock Lesnar's on the way out. We need top talent fast. But we just got that injection of talent with guys like Oba and Trick, and you can look at Javon and guys like that. There's some other people in NXT that could come in and backfill some mid-card if we move some mid-carders up. Your Dominic Mysterios even could move up. But there is a need for top talent in the WWE right now, and that kind of top talent is perfectly displayed in a guy like Oba Femi. So that's my guess. I think we see Oba stay free agent for a while. We see him come face-to-face with Brock Lesnar. That's going to be the WrestleMania program. And then I think Oba can start pursuing championships after that. But I would love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments. What do you see from Oba Femi? Do you think he is definitely a breakout, or do you think he's a flash in the pan? Do you think that the Brock Lesnar feud would be the right feud, or do you think something else should happen? Let me know how you book him for WrestleMania, and let me know also who you think is the next up-and-coming breakout superstar that we can talk about right here on The Breakdown. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love for you to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on your notifications so you never miss an upload. And I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today here at the Pro Wrestling Breakdown and on this episode of The Breakout. We'll see you again soon.